TGIF Warriors, how's everyone doing? Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine, Coach.
Thank you,
TGIF,
folks.
buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Blake. Ingmar, Steve, Mike came in. How are you, bro? Glenn, Ryan's here. Laura, James, everyone's doing okay? All right. So let's look at something here. I want to take a look at what the euro is doing because, during this whole dollar bounce, all it's done is move sideways. And my trader intuition says that we could still make a move above 117.50. It's trying to break down out of this descending triangle, but not a lot of follow through. I don't know if there's any big news today that could drive it, but back over 1750, then I think you're talking about a shot to new highs above the 1830 level.
Well, what's driving it, Coach, is all these tariff headlines. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
everybody's wondering if Europe's going to get a letter today,
Okay.
a tariff letter. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean that right now that's front and center with everybody. As
Ex
as
except
Donald Trump goes,
the
as he
UK.
goes. Yeah, well, except yeah, and the UK is like the only trade deal that's been done. You even look, there's a Bloomberg article I just posted in our newsroom in Bloomberg about Vietnam's like, wait a second, we didn't agree to 20% tariffs. What are you talking about? And they're confused at what the Trump administration is doing. And I just said this in the chat room, and I'm sorry,
So
I'm going
are
to let you.
they. So is the
What?
administration.
Yeah, well, I'm going to just say this really quick, and I said this in the chat room, but what we're seeing and what we witnessed last night is a byproduct, in my opinion, of what's happening with the Trump administration and these Epstein files. Donald Trump is losing so much support right now. I mean, his support is plummeting amongst his most MAGA supporters. And I
That's a
was
big
just
deal.
well, it is a big deal because now he's literally going scorched earth on everybody to divert attention and
Yeah.
get people back on his side. When he loses his biggest supporters, people take his red hats and throw them in the garbage and whatever. I mean, I'm talking all of these people. And there's one line that can't be crossed, and I said this in the chat room. There's one line: kids, sexual predators, and taking advantage of kids in a sexual manner. It doesn't matter if you are the furthest right possible or the furthest left possible.
True.
Universally around the world, there's nothing that the entire world supports more than the sexual abuse of kids. And so when they promise to release these Epstein files
Yeah.
and they haven't, he's losing a lot of support, period.
Okay. Yeah.
And now he's gone bananas because he's now going crazy and really going to town on, and it's at the expense of the entire world here. And so
Yeah.
that's, I think, front and center and something that we all should be thinking about because now we're all in the crosshairs as traders of the markets, as investors. We're at the whim of
Yeah.
what he's
You're
doing
right,
anyway.
Blake. You're right. I mean, he was, Teflon. I mean, he got through all these trials, all these impeachments. He said he could go out on, into the streets of New York and kill somebody and get away with it.
He
This is the
could,
one. This
but
is the
what?
one thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm
And
sorry.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I
so
couldn't agree more.
getting back to charts, maybe that's what is. Do you think that's why we have risk off today in the S&Ps because of
Oh,
that?
100%.
Okay,
100%. Yeah.
someone drew like an X on my chart. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
Huh?
Sorry, Dale. There's a
Huh?
new
What
there's
the
a
hell are
new
you doing over there,
annotation.
Ryan?
I
There's a
thought
new
he was playing
annotation tool.
tic-tac-toe on the metals
It
complex.
was it was my crossed hammers. It's a new tool, and I didn't know if it showed up on the screen or just on my screen.
Yeah, yeah. Does it show up on yours, Blake? I was,
Yeah.
I
It
was
did.
like,
I saw it.
I
I,
felt
I
more.
was, I was, I
I
was wondering what you were drawing there.
I mean, I did. I know a lot of people out there don't remember the outer limits, but I had to go to a psychiatrist for years because it took control of your TV, and I thought I was having a flashback with Ryan playing tic-tac-toe on my screen. But anyway, nice tool.
Yeah, sorry. No one was
It's
saying
all right.
anything. I thought it was
All
just on
right.
my screen.
I thought you wanted someone was saying, "Hey, get to these markets where the X were," and you're right, Ryan. I mean, silver new highs,
Yeah,
new recovery highs.
Yeah.
Even with yields up, I will say this though about this gold silver ratio, and you guys have been trading for a long time, so when you start to get this kind of action, you can't tell as much by the 4 hour, but the daily, every day it's reversing. Look, you know, tried to hold, reversed, failed, still diverging. I don't know if this is just going to collapse or we're setting up something for the other way. I mean, where's DSI in silver? 90?
No, not even close.
Wow, well then we're going to go to 40.
I mean, yeah, I'll tell you here in a second. It is at 80.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we got
it's not,
plenty of room, buddy.
yeah, it
Plenty of
could get
room.
more
80
extreme.
feels like 15.
Uh, what's that?
80 feels like 15.
Yeah. Anyway, so Blake filled us in with what's going on. I decided this summer not to watch the news. All right, so I don't even have live CNBC or CNN, and I figured I'd get enough of the news with what I could find online.
Well, you just get
but
briefed here, and then you got
yeah,
the rest of your day. You just
yeah. I mean,
listen to the Face show and listen to
I spent
Ryan and
too much
K-Man and
time.
myself. We'll brief you.
Yeah, I'm. It puts me in a bad mood. So, I don't want to, be dwelling on all the world events. We have to do it professionally, but I'm not going to sit around with my time off and get caught up in the dramas this summer. I
Go
just
put your
want
feet in
to.
the water, Dale. That's
There
what
you
I would
go.
do. Yep.
So, what's behind the weakness in cable? Just a follow through of what was happening last week, Ryan? Tic-tac-toe, man.
Yeah, well, we got another fantastic read from GDP this morning.
Okay.
The fastest growing economy in the G7 in Q1, and now we're probably the slowest growing economy in the universe a month later. But Kate's been picking up that we've seen a bit of an offer coming in the pound over the fixes the last few hours as it hits the hourly marks, particularly in euro sterling. So there could be some sort of flows going through.
Okay. I'm not going to, short the dollar here, but I just, I keep coming back to it. Also, when Grega was here last week, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm here.
All right. Okay. When you were here last week, you allowed for bounce. You were talking about a bounce only, and that we could still make new lows, and you even identified 97.50 as a possible area this bounce could happen from here. So where's your head at now on Dixie?
I mean,
Same.
it's same, yes. I still think that it's a pretty slow moves here. I think
Yeah.
that market is waiting what will be the outcome from the US-European negotiations regarding trade deals. But when looking at the price action here, it looks like it's corrective on a smaller time frame, not really
Okay.
strong recoveries here. We can see that bulls are struggling, bears are always trying to come back a bit. So I think that the next impulse, very strong reaction, in my opinion, still can be to the downside.
Okay, so this is all corrected, and instead of me showing my stuff, you came here, so you have things to share. I do wish that maybe you'll cover the 10-year, which had a nice bounce from this pivot level around 430. It got through it and pulled back to it and bounced again. So I'm just going to give you the charts here, buddy.
Yep.
You got them.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, got it.
Yeah. So basically, still we are trapped in this triangle, and I would be very careful here what will happen next in the next few weeks here. I think that there is a real chance that we will see some further recovery. And looking even at the TLT here, it also looks like it has some missing legs to the
Yeah,
downside. So even this one, I mean,
yeah,
it tells us that maybe we'll retest these lows. At the same time, obviously, I would not be surprised to see more gains here. Of course, dollar is not showing exactly the same stuff at the moment, but whenever we complete this higher degree fifth wave to the downside of this whole bearish cycle that began from January,
yeah,
I just think that maybe if the yields will really start breaking out, I think that maybe that will maybe form some low of the US dollar. As you know, in September 2024, as we said already last time, when they cut rates, dollar has turned around, and maybe we'll see some different situation later this year again here. But as we said, for now, there's still not complete downtrend.
yeah.
I think that as long dollar is some kind of a slow here, that commodity currencies, Aussie in particular, still could do well. But we are slowly coming into this phase when some currencies could maybe form a top earlier than others. So at the important tops, significant tops and bottoms, uh, not all of the markets will make top or low
Right,
at the same time. And we can see
right.
that cable, I'm not sure,
Yeah,
I joined a little bit late, not sure if Blake or you talked about it.
yeah.
But we have seen a pretty strong reversal, and we are basically have some wedge formation ending diagonal here. And I'm afraid that this one is just telling us that it will be very hard to reach new highs, even if dollar index, the euro, will see some further continuations. Even this one could see some only temporary bounce. So when
Interesting.
looking at this price action, if we're not if you are still bearish dollar, maybe just rather leave this one on the side and focus on some other currencies
Like
instead.
Aussie and Euro.
Yeah, I mean, Aussie,
Aussie looks great. It went from being the one of the weakest to one
yes,
to now the strength in the last
yes,
week.
it's been since everybody surprised and didn't cut on
Right,
Tuesday. So I
right.
think that there is a chance for further strength here. But of course, one of the best plays so far, maybe
Oh,
because of these tariffs and a lot of uncertainty,
yeah.
still are still in metals. We had some very beautiful price action, basically this for the last few days. So that was a very nice small intraday impulse. Then we broke this channel and retested it a few times. We bottomed at the 61.8, and now we are also breaking this smaller hourly time trend line. So I
Okay.
think that we could see 3,400, but up there we have some resistance triangle line. So maybe we'll not see any kind of a straight push to the upside. But certainly there is still plenty of room for recovery here. Even silver is doing pretty well. It's coming very nicely out of this fourth wave triangle. I think the 3850, 39 target still could be seen, but keep in mind that triangles will cause the final move within the hard degree sequence. So
Okay.
it's not that this breakout and this rally started today. I mean, keep in mind that we are in recovery mode, pretty strong one since April, and that was
Yeah.
pretty amazing and strong move so far. So I still think that maybe, as I said, maybe already in August or a month later, we will see some reversals of these trends that we are seeing and experiencing right now. But as I said, maybe Aussie is doing will or commodity currencies will do well. Here we have Euro Aussie. It's been moving to the upside for the last few weeks, but it stopped at the 61.8%. We have this bear flag, which could be maybe broken in the near future. And after rallies, I think that there could be opportunities to look for some weakness here. Also, maybe if I touch the cryptocurrencies a bit, which are flying pretty nicely for the
Okay.
last 24 hours. So looking at maybe on Bitcoin and not be that in that phase of optimism, which certainly we are going into. So looking to be a potential wedge formation, but even this, which can be a reversal pattern, still has a room for more upside till we touch the upper trend line with wave 5. So even 130,000 could be seen here, or maybe even higher if something more extended will occur with a different interpretation. But for now, it looks like that cryptocurrencies overall are doing pretty well. Regarding the liquidity map, maybe watch this level around 120,000. We have some pretty big orders here. Still didn't really been triggered, but looks like that maybe during this weekend or next week we could see some setbacks if this level is touched. Also, last time we spoke about the Ethereum. That was a pretty nice head and shoulders bottom formation. We are breaking the neckline. But whenever I'm looking at the head and shoulders formation, in back of my mind, I always have the Elliott wave structures. And in such case, I will take the distance of the first leg, meaning wave A in Elliott wave terms, and compare it from the bottom of wave B. And when I see these projections around for wave C around 3,550 in our case, that's where I would be very careful, because Elliott waves shows you that in corrections C and A could be same the distance. So maybe if someone is playing the breakout game here based on head and shoulders pattern, maybe that's the first area to watch for. But below that, you also have 3,300. This is also the gap on the future, very big one here from February. So maybe that's also some kind of a resistance that we should pay attention on in the near term. But for now, it looks like that cryptos have room for more upside. We can see MicroStrategy still didn't reach these highs here. So as long as all of those markets, even Coinbase, is making some very nice progress to the upside as well. So as long as we have these sectors doing pretty well, I think that cryptocurrencies will also be doing fine, but maybe altcoins will try to beat
Outperform.
Bitcoin, yeah, in the near future, because there will be some outflows from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Some will book profits and will want to look for some other coins. And
what would be some candidates that people would recognize, like Ripple, XRT?
Yeah, we mentioned Ripple last time about the potential triangle here, and obviously still plenty of room till new highs are reached here. So I think that for now it looks like that cryptocurrencies are doing pretty well, and if stocks will be able to hold these gains and maybe just consolidate, not a lot to the downside, I just think that this next push to the upside on stocks would just make cryptos even stronger.
Do you see even a 5% sell-off coming in here in S&Ps anytime soon?
Here we have NASDAQ. Let me take a look. I mean, still.
So you got a 4 coming.
Yeah. I mean, 5% would be nice, but if we get it, that's the different question.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of uncertainty if any positive news will come on August 1st. Then we know that these markets will fly to the upside.
Okay. Great review. Anything else?
No, basically that's it. Maybe even dollar CAD. I think we get some data in 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, we do. We have a Canadian jobs report coming out.
Yeah, I mean, still, this one, in my opinion, in downtrend, we are in a wave 4, so I would not be chasing this one here. But if we can reach the levels around 38.2% by next week, I think that would be a pretty powerful resistance all the way up towards 1.4, also round figure here. Very nice area, the whole area for a wave 4, and then potential continuation lower.
Okay, it's kind of strange how, USD CAD is showing strength while Aussie USD is showing strength.
Yeah, it's because
what
of
a breakdown of correlations, huh?
It's USMCA trade negotiations that are gonna be a mover there.
Okay, you have anything on US dollar MEX? I know the guys here, and it looks like it's a shot for a bottom. Do you think that we could get some type of rally out of there?
Yes, we are basically coming out of this. Let me adjust.
Okay, so we didn't get a 5. We broke out before. Nice trading, Blake, and nice trading, Ryan. Now, I don't know if Kay went with it, but I know you two guys were probing it.
Thank
Nice
you.
work. Nice work. I remember other people's trades more than my own, which is an advantage. Anyway, it's an advantage. All right.
right.
Well,
Well,
thank you,
yeah.
Grega.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your insights, Grega. Thanks for being here today on a Friday. And Dale, I know you got Tavi coming up here in a few
Yeah.
minutes, which really you guys have to stick around for that. Really exciting stuff to have Tavi, especially with Trump going after Brazil. I mean, I'm sure you got Dale, you might need to jump on and figure out a little bit about what's happening with the Brazilian government and
Okay.
what Trump's doing, regarding tariffs. This is one of those examples where, like, the tariff situation is more of a political, a move versus an economical one, which is again very. I mean, I guess it's very Trumpian. We can call it that. But guys, if you haven't signed up right here in the middle of the Forex Analytics website, and Ryan, you can go ahead and put the link there. This is our coming soon page for Trading Analytics. Be one of the first to know about what we're doing. We actually updated in our newsletter over the weekend some of the features that we're adding to Trading Analytics. So I'm not going to discuss them here. You got to sign up for the newsletter so you can get all of the information yourself. But once you do that, you're also entered to win one of two trader funding program assessments that are being given away this month. So make sure you do that when you get a chance. We just gave away a trader funding program to a young lady this last month. So make sure you do that. Now we have, as you know, Canadian jobs reports coming up here in just about 9 minutes. But I want to hear, some of these opinions from Ryan. We got a breakdown in sterling today. I know Grega was just talking about it. If you're a Forex Analytics subscriber, there's a new pattern in play in sterling about an hour ago. And you can see the euro sterling is running right back up towards its highs after completing the bull flag pattern last week. Ryan, so what's happening with sterling here?
Well, as I was saying to Dale, we had a bit of a shoddy GDP report earlier today. I think cable is in a different ballpark. That's a dollar trade, but obviously it's moving a bit faster than euro dollar is at the moment. But yeah, euro sterling looks like it's creeping up. So we're now in the middle of the zone. I've got 86.40 to 70-ish, which is a bit of a you can see that there. It goes back quite a ways on that. And if we're breaking above there, then we've got the big 87 level to tackle next.
All right, so there's some big levels coming up in euro sterling, but if you look at the pound, and this is what Grega was just showing you, or showing everybody here. I mean, you got a break in an ascending wedge. I know this is my edge chart of the day 2 days ago for a short. Actually, it was yesterday. I'm sorry. Yesterday, I put it out, and we broke through the 618. We're gonna attack this 134 or 40 level, and if that's broken, man, I mean, I think that if you remember old Paul Franco, the wheels may fall off the bus here. So, real ugly technical picture when you're talking about sterling. And as Greg has said a little earlier, I agree with him here. Hey, if you're gonna be selling dollars, there's other currencies you can look against. K-Man, we've seen a lot of headlines overnight regarding trade. I mean, and I mean that all happened. I was in the pool. I jumped out of the pool. I jumped out of my 95-degree pool, by the way, just so you guys know. And
That's not a pool, that's a bath.
It is a disgusting jacuzzi bath, yes, in the middle of summer. So I jumped out of the pool, had all these headlines, rocking the markets. Which ones jumped out most to you when you got up this morning? You're like, holy shit, what happened there?
I didn't go too much holy crap, but it's just an ongoing story now. And what I actually noticed most interestingly about the dollar in general, and then again we have to exclude the sterling right now
Sure.
because the sterling is trading weaker, but it didn't move much more than an algo blip, and that tells me, and we spoke about that on the flow show as well, that the bigger money is probably a bit on the sidelines until they know exactly what kind of details or structure that we are going to get. I was expecting the euro dollar to open lower when there was a threat of a letter to be sent out to the eurozone and or to the European Union rather, and we opened up around 116.85.90, and I went like, oh, shouldn't that be trading lower? And it is a weight around its neck, but I think we are in a more for the big money managers, we retailers, we think differently, but for them, they are in a wait and see mode. And we've spoken about that, as I said in length, actually on the flow show. I think they're waiting for numbers to put in their models to see whether they are going to have to sell more dollars or they've done enough with what
And
they've.
Cayman, how can you even do that when this article, Vietnam surprised by Trump
Mm,
the Trump administration says we got to deal with Vietnam 20%. And they're like, wait a second, what? We're caught off
mm,
guard by President Donald Trump's announcement last week. And they're
mm,
like, wait, we want a lower rate. We didn't agree to this. And
mm.
so, how, if you're big money, how are you
Well, you're
supposed to
done.
model around that?
Okay, I mean, if you're big money, I mean, their first leg is definitely done, right? We were talking about it. I mean, it was one of my what I said, like literally when we spoke about what to expect in 2025. I said the dollar is going to rally until the inauguration day, and then it's bye bye. And I think the first leg has been done now. And but those people, you could never have certainty with Trump. But we knew that. We spoke about it so often, saying like, "Oh, we are in for 4 years of
Right.
of surprises, left, right, and center." Right?
Right.
And but they still have overarching themes. Okay. Those big money managers. One was to reallocate. I mean, we have to be very careful when people say like, "Oh, the dollar is toast and nobody wants it anymore." We've seen the Q1 and Q2 will not be that much difference. The FX reserves in dollar have changed something like at the central banks in Q1 have changed something like 0.7% or so, which is basically nothing, right?
Right.
But then the probably asset managers, other bigger money managers that I'm thinking about, the Vanguards and the BlackRocks, they probably have done a little more in percentage, but they are huge sums as we know. But I don't think that they are now actively doing stuff. Um, and that's why we are now trading kind of ranges. Yes, there was the dollar coming back. Yes, there was um, because those flows have basically dried up because they're never going to do that, like do 100% of what they need to reallocate in one go. But now we are in this wait and see attitude. So the surprise for me short term was this morning walking in. It's actually, oh crap, euro dollar is not lower. So who is playing in this? That is always my question. And that's why I think that for as long as we don't know exactly what's going to go into a structure or in a trade deal, we are likely going to see more range trading than anything else. That is my opinion right
Ah,
now.
I don't want to hear that. All right. Well,
I know, but
thanks.
no,
Thanks.
people can make money in ranges if you
This is
spot
true. I
trade.
actually, I think we've been doing a lot of ranges and range trading as of late.
I mean,
Um,
you can
yeah,
you can trade the ranges. There is absolutely nothing bad about that. I mean, 80% of the time, markets are in ranges.
yeah, right, exactly. And
Mm.
hey guys, we're about a few minutes away
Yeah,
from this
Canada's
Canadian
coming
jobs
off.
report, or actually 1 minute away from this Canadian jobs report. Just
I have
real
no
quick.
idea, by the way.
Well, we just let's keep an eye on it because the dollar Canadian, if there's one currency out there that's been a little perky as of recently, it's this dollar CAD. We longer term double bottom might be setting up, especially on a break. I'll show you the charts here in a minute. We have Tavi Costa coming up, so make sure you guys all stick around for the interview. It's going to be a really, really great macro interview for those of you that are into the macro stuff. Everybody should be sticking around for that. But I just want to mention we have 15 seconds. Ryan, any last minute thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching dollar CAD because I've been saying it's looking like it's wanting to bottom since it made that low in the 135.40s,
Yeah.
and
All right.
it's building up. So let's see. Here we go. We're out.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty good.
oh, 83.1
Yeah.
It's good.
thousand.
I
Yeah.
was hoping for.
a drop in unemployment rate.
I just bought the dollar CAD at 136.60. I picked it up. I got a really good price. I've been wanting to do that, and I just told Fox in the chat room. I said, I hope the stronger Canadian jobs report loony dips, and I'm buying. I bought it at 136.60 just now. So now it is a really good jobs report. So don't know if I really want to stick around too long, but I picked up at a really good price right
Yeah,
there.
nice,
Like
nice
literally
play.
bottom tick that just now. So I'm going to move my stops right to break even. If you guys want to see my positioning, you can see it. I got it right there. You can see 136.60. I got a really, really good price on that loony.
Well, if
So
Grega's right, you got a new recovery high coming into early next week. That's what
yeah, well,
know.
yeah, maybe. I'll I'll take it.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll take it. So hey,
it's
guy,
been stronger than the dollar, so
yeah,
that
I
could
mean
happen.
this is the one that you want to if you want to play into dollar strength, you got to buy these dips here, even on the
Anyway, I'm
stronger
looking for
Canadian one.
Tavi. I'm doing my Forex guest hunter.
Let me
Sent him
see.
messages, and I don't see him.
And he retweeted
Yeah,
everything yesterday, so he knows
yeah,
he might be running just a minute late,
yeah. Let's
which is
give it a few minutes.
yeah,
I
let's give it
sent
a
him
few
the link.
minutes. Yep.
He's got the link and everything in his DM. So
Okay, cool. So he'll probably be here in a few minutes. Then let me ask let's ask some questions here. Ryan, I'm gonna be filming the week ahead video, obviously in a few minutes. Or in a few minutes in a
yeah,
few
go
hours.
ahead, Mandy.
What's
Mandy
that?
said we should all go on X and tag him.
Yeah, there we go.
Uh,
He'll be here in a second. But I want to ask Ryan, going into next week, we got CPI. We have US CPI. It's an important piece of data, I think. I mean, obviously we had I interviewed Michael Brown. You talked to him on the trade-off show about US CPI. I mean, how important is it to you in your eyes?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be important because the Fed's telling us, Powell's telling us that they're worried about inflation coming, and we need to see it in the numbers. Because meanwhile, Trump's bashing him over the head, saying there's no inflation. We've got some Fed members, let's call it what it is, dissenting now, which is going to be a big feature of the July rate decision. It's not going to be whether they do anything with rates. It's going to be if we get any dissenters, there should be at least two, and if there's any more. But the CPI is obviously going to be important for the mantra that there's supposedly inflation coming, and we'll see what it is. If it's expected to hit the highest since January, so we are looking up for these numbers. And obviously, if it's a soft one, really soft one, then that's going to put a lot of pressure on that July meeting.
Okay, do you just talking about this what the Fed's going to do? I mean, I understand why the Fed has been so hesitant to move on rates, but do you think, I mean, there's all this debate on whether tariffs are gonna give us inflation, and I was just having a conversation with Jim Welsh yesterday Jim Welsh from Macrotides, talking about the inflation data and how it's silly to believe that it's going to be benign. I
lower.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it seems to me very, 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 um, crazy to believe that. I mean, do you believe that as well? I mean, the prices are they have to go higher. How do they not? And too many, and this is globally, by the way. We were hesitant to everybody was hesitant to raise rates for anything or raise prices for anything. But now companies, have seen that they can. And so I think the behavior has changed with companies that sell products that they can raise prices now. I don't see how they don't raise prices.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
not going to eat it.
Yeah,
no.
well, that's the thing. We know prices have gone up. They went up before Trump came into play. We've just coming off a massive inflation shock.
Yeah.
And a long time ago when we were in the middle of that shock, I said it's not the fact that inflation is going to come down to. It's where it comes down to and where it settles.
Yeah.
They want it all back at 2% or whatever, and it's not. So what do they do? And once prices are high, remember, inflation coming down doesn't mean prices are dropping. If we're running at 2% inflation, that's 2% above the 10% that was tacked on 2 years ago, sort of thing. So we're not getting back to 2020 levels, 2021 levels, sort of thing. But yeah, and they're not going to be the only ones in the same boat. But the difference between them and the Eurozone could see inflation coming lower because they've got a weak economy over there. So France, for example, cutting prices to try and get business, that puts you into a deflationary mindset rather than a disinflationary mindset. The US has got no reason for firms to cut prices unless demand starts dropping markedly.
Yeah.
And you're not there yet.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. There's
Not
signs,
there.
there's little wobbles that we've seen, coming in, and sentiment data and various bits and bobs, but the hard data says, okay, we've seen a bit of weakness. Jobs are running at 150,000 a month instead of 250,000 a month, but nothing. It's not
Guys,
damaging.
Tav is here, by the way.
Yeah, I
And
just saw
Dale,
that he
thank
popped
you.
up.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
organizing this. He's one of my. I'm a big fan of Tavi. So well done.
Speaking of which, before Tavi comes in, this is a picture of Stelios, his wife, Steve, his wife, and Leandro, our
Look at that.
Spanish, analyst who is in Athens right now. So I wanted to show Stelios I didn't know you were going to be here this morning, but that was them last night out to dinner.
Yeah, it was really lots of fun. Very nice.
Very, very cool. Anyway, that's the Forex Analytics part of the team, all meeting in Athens, Greece last night. So, hey, Ryan, K-Man, thank you so much for your analysis and being on the Flow Show. Dale, thanks for guiding us every day. Looking forward to your interview with Tavi. And with that being said, I'll be filming the week ahead video. Be on the lookout for that. And Tavi, welcome to F.A.C.E, and Dale, it is all yours, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Dream Team. Another good week. Thanks for filling in for me on Wednesday. And I always enjoy talking to this guy. I call Tavi the Silver Baron because when he was, I don't know, what's a year or so ago, he went ahead and bought a mine. Okay. Now, so doing the hard work of running the mine is what he discovered. And I just want to, show Tavi's disclaimer here. Welcome to the show, Tavi. Great to have you back.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to, and thanks for everybody, everything said. It was appreciate those words. Thank you very much, and look forward to be here for being here as well.
Okay. All right. So Tavi's with Crescat. You probably see his lives on X all the time. Really known for, he's actually an excellent currency trader across the board in assets. I could ask him about anything, but as always, do your own due diligence. And these are just, for educational purposes, and then you turn it into risk. That's up to you. So, Tavi, great to have you here. And why don't we start out with what's happening politically between the U.S. and Brazil? I hear that there's some friction occurring there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's mostly perhaps a little bit of noise, one of those
Okay.
situations where you have a sell-off, and I think you should be seen as an opportunity, window of opportunity for many reasons. US and Brazil don't really have a trading relationship like maybe Trump thought they would. I'm not sure what the letter was really about. It was certainly a very political letter more than the deficit itself. Brazil
Yes.
is running a surplus with the US, deficit with the US. But if you run the numbers on a lot of these things, it won't have a major impact economically as part of what the country, relative to what the country actually does in revenues. Some companies it could, but I highly doubt this is going to stick. It's like the copper 50% tariffs. While I think this is wildly bullish for copper, it just, what are the odds we're going to be keeping those things there? It's just negotiation tactics. But yeah, I look,
Would
Brazil.
you sell copper based upon that? I know you're long-term bullish, but with fresh money, would you be patient and wait
Uh,
for a pullback to buy copper-related assets, or you just go in?
No, I just focus on the copper outside of the US that
Okay.
actually supposedly was supposed to have an impact. But if you look at Chilean equities,
Yes.
Chile, for those that don't know, it's the Saudi Arabia of copper. I mean,
Right.
it actually produces more copper globally than Saudi Arabia of oil. Um, and
Interesting too. Yeah.
and so, but if you look at the Chilean currency or the equities, behave quite well during that whole thing, which was a little shocking to me because it's the largest. I think it's 35% imports of that the U.S. imports of copper. So
Okay.
my view is if you're looking for a trade on that idea, I would say focus on things that are outside of the U.S. because that's unlikely to stick. Once that comes down, they should have a positive pop. Now, the copper price here in the US, yeah, it could have a negative impact, and maybe today is a little bit of that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, at 11% increase,
In a
it,
day.
it's it's sort
Yeah.
of mixed, right? Because
Yeah.
because on one side you can say it was related to this, the other side it just broke out. I just
Right.
believe it broke out. So
Got you.
it's and it's I don't want to stay in front of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, why don't we talk a little bit about how things are going at the mine? I've, put up silver. How many years ago was it? I think that we were trading in the low 20s when you decided not just to do something on paper, which I know you do, but you really wanted to own the asset, and people were warning you. If my memory's correct, must have been around October in 23 when you tied it up, and silver was 21, and everyone was saying, Tavi, don't do it. The silver's weak. It's going to 18 or 15, and um, the type of independent thinker that you are, you went ahead with it. So how are things going? You say, it's not easy to run a mine, is it?
Oh, well, I think, look, conversations has started back in 2021. We closed the deal, like literally the papers and everything was probably January 2023.
Okay.
One of our partners became the CEO. I work very closely with him actually because it's a real balance sheet. I mean, just this year we're probably on pace. What we pay for it was call it between 250 and 300 million because there's some deferred payments and things like that. Let's just call it between like 270 or so.
Yeah.
Um, More close to 250. Like this year, if everything goes the way things are with prices at around 33, 34, of which we all know it's not, this already made it's on pace to make about 380, almost $400 million in free cash flow. So yeah, it's
Privately held, right?
privately held. We
Yeah.
we have it's extremely tightly held as well. We own majority of it, and our goal is to develop other things with the mine. We've been in a acquisition spree recently as well of mines that we like. I think I'm not sure if I shared this with you, but The one metal I love silver, and I already have probably, well, you never have too much. Every time you see prices going up, you feel like you should have more. But one
Yeah.
metal that it's I think it's off the radar is zinc. Zinc
Yeah.
prices,
You
yeah.
went to you purchased a zinc mine too, didn't you?
Well, this mine is also one of the largest zinc mines in the world, but we've been also focused on zinc just because zinc the more we do research on this, the more we realize how critical it is. And if you start investing in precious metals and copper and other metals, you get into the exploration or junior space that those call. And
Yeah.
um, when you look for zinc assets, good
Can't
luck.
find
There's
them.
like a handful of them because there's not a lot of new discoveries of zinc, and so we like those when we find them. We've been in an acquisition spree with a company looking for those assets right now.
Okay, so let's move to other asset classes. So
Mhm.
a quote that I have from you the last time I talked to you, and we were talking about the markets, and that was during swoon time, right, or right around swoon time. And I asked you, I said, what would you do with the market? And you said, I'd get long VIX I'd get short VIX under 20. So did you follow through with that idea? I mean, you could always reassess, but are you short anything with the VIX under 20?
Yeah, we've been increasing our shorts right now. I think the biggest one, it's not even VIX, is actually the junk bond spreads have really tightened up.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's an even better way to express the same idea. So that
Right,
means you're just buying insurance in your portfolio. Like I'd much rather do that right now than when VIX is above 30 or 40 or 50. So yeah, it
right.
just sounds like I mean, if you're making money in other things, um, I think that's the right
It's
thing to do.
Yeah,
Why
it's
not?
insurance you hope you don't have to collect on, like homeowners fire insurance. You don't want the house to burn down so you could collect.
The
You
the
just
more
have
I
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
and the
ahead.
more I learn about markets, it's like I'd rather not spend time trying to figure out the next 20-30% drop and try to figure out what's the next 10 bagger. Sounds to me a lot more better use of my intellectual time, to be quite honest. And so, but we all know risk. And so
Yeah,
this is great for you to manage risk for the next 6 months. It's highly unlikely we see, spreads staying this tight. So you might as well take a 6 month play on this because I do think, well, look, one thing that has not played out yet, it's played out a little bit, but not really that the way I thought because I had a high conviction on this. I had a high conviction 6 months ago or so on the dollar, and I had high
yeah,
conviction on the 2-year yield. The dollar has basically moved in anticipation of that move on 2-year, but I think the 2-year has a lot more to go lower. I don't know if I'm in a crowded space because the more I talk to people, a lot of people
yeah.
agree with me.
Everyone's looking for lower rates.
But at the same time, look, it's become a lot tougher to find those opportunities. I think look, gold has had a big pullback recently. That looks attractive. I've been focused on the derivatives of gold a lot. The emerging markets. I think some of them had a pullback. Brazil had a pullback recently. I like pullbacks in the middle of big trends. I mean that's to me that's where you make most of your money is taking advantage of noise. So
Yeah,
um,
you were constructed Brazil for quite some time. In fact, you said on a visit to see your family in Brazil, and someone asked you what you liked, and you said Brazil, and they
yeah,
kind of shook their head in disbelief, and you were right. Um,
well, yeah. I
Anything that you're doing with the real or anything in the currency markets that is offering opportunities?
I purchased a real estate there
Okay.
in January, right at the peak, like sort of very early January, late December. I was negotiating. and then I bought it. What's the intent? Is to have part of our lives there, just because I do think it's going to be the next one in line to start moving. We're probably going to see major shifts. The catalyst would be elections next year, in my view. And we're in the process of seeing a less crazy Malay get into place. I feel like Malay, you're probably going to see something a lot more constructive, even in my view. I like Malay, by the way. I think that's the catalyst for Argentina, although it was cheap, it needed a catalyst. And when that started to become a trend, Argentinian equities began to move way before elections. And then I think we're in that world right now in Brazil. It's starting to de-risk as we see the other Tarcísio is his name, is the other political leader. He's the governor of São Paulo. And I really think he's gonna gain momentum. I mean, the left is basically done. I mean, there's Lula, who's 85 years old. He's got cancer. He can barely speak his mind right now. And there's nobody behind him. It's just I think there's a real asymmetry on that idea that is just not priced in markets. Look, what's happening in the US is fascinating, Coach. I mean, it's sort of what's the gap between US and emerging markets as far as free markets? Have you seen what happened yesterday? To me, that I'm just going on because it's critical. This whole NP materials. Were
No, I
you
didn't. Fill
NP
me in.
NP? Yeah, it's a rare earth company that received a 15%, well, I should say a 400 million and $1 billion, basically capital infusion into the company. Was basically the DoD, the Defense of Department of Defense, now owns 50% equity on a rare earth company. And I was very curious. I was like, well, that's strange.
Yeah.
How, they own 15% of this? Sounds like emerging markets when they,
Yeah.
say, well,
Nationalize when they
yeah,
nationalize, right?
and that brought my attention. I was like, all right, when was last time this happened? Do you have a guess?
The Civil War.
World War
18.
II. I mean,
Okay.
that was, and that was not even, I mean, it was a substantial amount inflation adjusted. You're probably talking about $250 billion of infusion of capital
Yeah.
that went through not one company, multiple factories to make sure the factories are still running during World War II.
Yeah.
Look, we're not in World War III, but this is interesting. The level of extreme. I mean, the prior things, and people sometimes tell me like, oh well, no, we did see no, not of this degree. Tell me a 15% stake, 15% stake of this in the last few decades, and there isn't one. There's grants. There's
Yeah.
you can see bailouts, companies
Yeah.
that this is not the case. It's not a bailout, it's strategic investment in a company. So I think
It's nationalizing an industry, isn't it?
yeah, and it's the beginning of something because
Yeah.
when the government starts one of these, they're going to be now looking at, and my thought was, okay, well, how much cash they have? Like, who's buying this? Is that the
Unlimited.
treasury, or like, where is it sitting at? So is a treasury balance sheet? Is it because nobody knows this? Like, I don't think anybody has run through the books on this. And I was like, well, how much capital do they have? And start looking at they report a balance sheet, unlimited capital. They're going to be,
Unlimited. Yeah. Yeah.
it's so,
So the Fed owns it.
I don't
They're
know.
going to finance it.
I don't think it's the Fed. It's the
Treasury.
Secretary. The
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense is the one that makes the decision. They have a council that makes the
Oh,
decisions
my
on
goodness.
investment that goes through it, and then the government approves it. The Fed is not involved with that, from my
Yeah.
understanding. And then
Okay.
once it's approved, they go and purchase. But like 15%, all right, if you own a company, okay, you have a 15% owner, like are they part of board discussions? What type of involvement is I'm guessing they will be very involved because it's there's a reason why they got involved, right? So
Yeah.
it's just very strange, I have to
It's
say.
Yeah, I mean, we've crossed the Rubicon in many
Yeah,
areas here in the U.S. Is that also your reason for wanting to have uh, political,
Brazil.
geographical diversification in
Um,
Brazil because of what you see happening here?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. This is just sort of one of those that just adds to your case, but
Yeah,
that nobody, it flew completely off the radar yesterday, and I thought was relevant to discuss. But if you think about it, what Trump is facing right now, and the administration is something. The fiscal side is important. So you have you're basically running a deficit of between 6 to 7% of GDP, depending on the month. If you remove let's just say you take interest rates to zero and you say we're not paying interest payment anymore, you're still running a 4% deficit, which is higher than what is desirable. And so, and then, okay, well, the fiscal is a problem. So you're probably going to have to do a few things. You're probably going to have to reduce rates substantially. And then on top of that, you're going to have to reduce that primary deficit, which is the deficit excluding the interest payment. All right, well, if you look at that deficit itself, inside of that, there's two things. There's non-growth spending, there's pro-growth spending. The pro-growth
right,
spending is everything else that is not, it's defense spending is one of them, and others that are not part of the entitlements, basically. And what we're seeing inside of that budget is that it's shrinking the pro-growth. Now, more and more it's been shrinking, and the entitlement has been growing, and then you have the interest payment has been growing. So what's probably going to do is that they're going to have to do some radical changes at some point, and it's going to cause the pro-growth aspect to decline. But the pro-growth spending in the U.S. is probably the largest in the world still, in terms of the large developed economies. Therefore, why you see this exceptionalism in markets. But I just think that that's impossible. And then on the other side of all this is the exports and import side, where we're running a call it 3 to 4% current account deficit today. That's mostly trade balance. So that's
right.
where Trump has been focused on, obviously. But if you looked at throughout history, the last time we saw this was in 1800s, like 1900s, this type of deficit. How do you fix a deficit? It was pretty, I think you can come up with better terms. You can, kind of research some industries like auto. Why do we
Yeah,
not have GM and Fords running in Europe, for instance? That can probably change very quickly. Single PE ratios that can see growth. Think about that. That's another idea there. Steel producers in the US, all these large industries that are not participating as much in the global markets could become participants. But how do you change this? Historically, it's been through devaluation of the dollar. And
yeah,
I ran the numbers myself. I was like, all right, well, which ones are the largest? It's Canada, it's Mexico, and then it comes China when it comes to the deficit that the US is running. And the numbers I ran were really looking into, what happens if we just want to fix that deficit between US and Canada, for instance, not through great agreements, but rather through a devaluation of the dollar. And yeah, you got to understand the elasticity of those agreements and all these things. You get to a point where you start learning that the currency has to appreciate 50+% to see something like that. And I do think that's probably going to be the case, but not today. It's probably going to be in the course of years. So
so the peso would appreciate,
yes, peso and
okay,
Canadian dollar.
50%, like to 27.
The peso was closer to 30, and the Canadian
Okay,
dollar was closer to 50. Um,
okay,
I really believe I know this is just one factor. There's other factors that will play into this, but I can throw another one that will play into this that might exacerbate that trend is the need for the US to cut rates, and they're going to have to. There's no way
yeah,
around it. So once they do, interest rate differentials are probably going to reflect in FX markets too. So I'm looking for any dollar
rally.
rise to short. I really
Okay.
am. And I think there
Well,
could be
you
one
have one
here.
right here. Are you
Yeah.
going for it or it's not enough?
I think you want to be scaling in. Yeah. I look, I like as you know, I don't have crystal ball when these things turns, but I don't think the positioning I think I looked at the positioning for the Canadian dollar specifically, and it's not heavily owned at all. Whoever said that is just not right. Maybe the euro, maybe the Japanese yen are crowded, more crowded, but not the Canadian dollar.
Okay. So you have to differentiate, Tavi, and because there have been, I think, in the COT reports, the most bears shorts in over 20 years. So
Yeah.
I thought that might be some fuel or gunpowder for some type of short covering rally, but uh, Canada's starting to give it back. Um, so
It's possible, and it's one of those things where you tactically take a move but structurally you stay with the view. And
yeah,
that's certainly the case right now.
okay,
Look, I'm not pressing crazy right now because I know we probably had a big move already.
yeah,
But
we
that's
have.
something I'm watching, That's something
Okay,
I'm watching because I want to press on that again. Like I really think it's going to be a moment to press again on that trade.
okay. Any reaction or thoughts about I think it was a week or so ago where the repo market, they had to do a big number at the Fed discount window, and the last time that happened was like 2018. You notice that story, and does it mean anything or it's just noise?
I noticed it, and I think we can be cute and trying to understand these things, and they're just so complicated. But yeah, but it's just things are so complex on
Yeah,
when you reach these levels of leverage that you have problems, occurring on many fronts. And the Fed is all we know is that the ones that are going to solve these things are the Treasury and the Fed. And
yeah.
when you see these spikes, is probably something crazy going on. And this is why it's just so difficult to be pounding the table on something in regards
It's
to the
it's
market
harder to
falling
have
apart.
conviction. It's
Yeah.
harder to have conviction right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling a bit right now just because I had a strong conviction on a lot of things, and I think a
Yeah,
lot of things have moved my way, and I'm just oh, I have conviction on one thing actually, that I think it's important to be. I don't understand that market as well because I've been wrong about it, and I sometimes when you're wrong about something and right about other things, what you do is you end up focusing on the things you've been right and so forth. And but I'm a little bit opposite in that case. It bothers me when I'm wrong. I'm trying to understand why. And I can't figure out necessarily what's really wrong in my view. I just have a strong view on how geopolitics are worsening. And
yeah,
if I would
okay.
take a thermometer of that, oil has to be in the forefront of as an asset class that should be reflecting that, and it's not. And I hate the stuff that happened with the war recently because
Yeah.
everyone is talking about the asset, and it becomes difficult to invest. But I'm noticing a lot of resilience in the oil producers, and I've also, if you study,
You like Petrobras,
I do
buddy?
like Petrobras, although it's more of a state-owned company as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, you can take the US, if you're
Here's
worried about this.
Here's Buffett's pick, Oxy.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah,
I like more nat gas, but you can see EOG.
okay,
EOG
okay,
is interesting. I like XLE, the ETF. I have call options on XLE right now, that
okay.
I've been buying. Why have I been? I just want to explain this because someone has to understand my risk. My risk is that I think maybe I mentioned this with you, maybe not, but if you notice gold to oil ratio and silver to oil ratio, it's
Wait,
at
yeah,
one of its highest levels in history. So think about being a miner, and your risk is what is that energy cost goes higher and eventually squeezes your margin. So it's like I kind of don't want oil to go up, but at the same time it's my risk. So if more than junk spreads widening is oil going crazy. And if you understand commodities and how the bull markets evolve, they rotate among themselves, and one
Right.
is the next flavor of the day. And oil has been out for a long time in that rotation. And I
Yeah.
it wouldn't shock me at all if we're back to $100 a barrel, 150, $200 a barrel in a year from now. It wouldn't shock me at all. I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how much risk is out there geopolitically today. And so it seems like a
Well,
cheap call
that
option.
would that would be, do you agree that most recessions in the US in their history have been preceded by oil shocks?
Yeah, that's indeed.
Okay,
Um,
so that's going to be the nail in the coffin
it's very
for the
possible.
economy.
It's very possible.
Okay.
I like to do the way I invest is I like these big trends, identifying these big trends, taking advantage of noise when you see the noise in trends, or positioning when things get too crowded and, maybe more like the dollar recently, but um, and sometimes you have these opportunistic moments of buying things that are really, really cheap that you have a very strong view on. And I think you can take energy producers. XLE is a great example. I could see that breaking out here. It's been consolidated. If you look at the long-term
Yeah.
chart, it's been like in its
Yeah.
line, consolidate. I love those things. You never know what the catalyst could be, and it's just waiting for one, really, in my view. And it probably will break out at some point, and everyone will be talking about it. So it's sort of, yeah. I mean, by
How
the
how
way.
about how about
Mhm.
if you want to talk about an out of favor market, Tavi? And I'm not recommending the use, but the cannabis stocks
Hmm.
are coming out. Do you
I don't
look at them
follow
or
them.
just, yeah.
I'll
Anyway,
write it down
they're
though.
down 90%. And
Really?
there's a potential for a re-rating of the scheduling of marijuana. And all these companies, they can't bank, they can't do anything. So just something, you've given us a lot of pearls. I thought I would, give
I
you an
appreciate
area
that.
because I don't, look at that chart.
No,
It's
I appreciate
greened
that. I
out.
don't know much about cannabis, but um
All right.
out- outside of having
Okay.
some friends that like to consume it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I could teach you.
I honestly, I prefer having some whiskey and wine, to be
Uh,
honest, but
all right,
I
everyone,
respect whoever does it. It's fine. It's
yeah,
whatever. It's
pick
your
your
life.
pick your poison. That's what I say. But you know what? You are not. You are an antidote to the thinking that many people have that it's really kind of they need grounding from someone like you. And, I recommend people go and check out your website. And anytime you're on X doing a space, which spaces, you do that quite a bit. And if you're not listening to Tavi Costa, you're missing a voice that could really change the way you look at markets and see things that he sees that you wouldn't on your own. And that's the importance of intelligence gathering. And Tavi's top of my list.
Well,
I,
feeling is mutual, my friend. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I really
Um,
appreciate the early hour for you to make it here and
that's fine.
coming to face and edifying us today, Tavi. Um, a lot of respect, and I hope that things work for you and your clients, and this is going to be a bumper crop for you this fall when you're harvesting your investment gains.
Well, thank you very much. It's been, the investment world is a lot of times lonely, and that's how it feels because that's when usually you're onto something. You just got to be in a lonely area for some time, and then try to express that view as best as you can, and then when the crowd comes, you say
Yeah,
goodbye.
yeah.
So.
You know, I don't like to be lonely in my personal life, but I certainly don't like a crowd around me when I'm positioned in the market, buddy.
uh,
So thanks again, Tavi. It was great seeing you and talking to you. Appreciate it. Tavi Costa, everyone.
Thanks for
And
having me.
follow him for sure at the minimum on X. He puts out a lot of great tweets. And that's going to be a wrap for us this week. Thanks, Tavi. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And, you know, it's nice to be a mile from the beach instead of the desert for a few months. So I'm going to be rejuvenated this summer here. So everyone have a great weekend, and we'll do it all again next week. Lay it all on the court for you. Bring in, great guests like Tavi.
Thank
So
you.
don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios. Thanks, Tavi.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, bro.